You're welcome to the discussion segment of the New Dawn Wednesday edition of the New Dawn. And this moment we are going to be looking at what the Northern governors came out with in the meeting that they had with the traditional rulers. And the topic we've carved out from that meeting is Northern Governors Meeting, focus on resolutions, power shift, VAT, and every other resolution. We'll look
at them. There are a lot of resolutions.
We
want to look at the power shift, just like we saw in the papers, and the VAT issue. And we have joining us via telephone to look at this topic is the chairman of NBA's section on public interest and development laws, PIDL, all the way from Lagos, Barrister Monday Ubani. Barrister Ubani, good morning.
It's my pleasure to be part of your program this morning. How are you today?
We're fine, thank you.
Yeah, Barrister Ubani, you know what we are talking about. Well, let's start from this premise. The Northern Governors meeting was not only, the resolution was not only about power shift and VAT. How will you summarize that meeting?
Well, I think the meeting of the regional governors has been on for a very long time. They meet for political reasons, actually. We used to have a governors forum for the entire country. I don't know how effective that one has been up to now, but I know that regionally the governors have been meeting, and of recent, the southern governors have been meeting, taking some positive actions and the decisions that affect the entire South. I also know that we have the Southwest Governors Forum, that of the East.
Yeah.
And so all over the country we've been having issues like that. But the Northern Governors Forum met recently, as Riley pointed out, and they took some far-reaching decisions and resolutions, part of which you have invited me to talk about this morning. So they have issue of insecurity, and I think they also reach a resolution on it. And several other issues. Of course, you know that the North has so many teething problems. You know, the issue of poverty generally in that region is very scary, and so many other decisions they've taken. But the one that is uppermost in the mind, and of course in the on topic and on table, is the decision of the Northern governors to oppose the Southern governors on the issue of power shift, and that is an interesting, story.
Barrister Obani, since you are there, what does the Constitution say? And of course, vis-a-vis the fact that they said it's not enshrined in the Constitution, it's just a gentleman's agreement. What's your view? Let's have it.
When the Northern governors are telling you it's not entrenched in the Constitution, I just laughed, because I went back, I dug into history. You know, Google does not forget. I dug into history to see whether there was any time the Northern governors have actually advocated for power shift, either to South or to North. And I saw it there. It's live, direct. You can do that immediately after you end this program. Google it. The Northern governors met in 2016, and they were very vehement, and they were very, very stringent in their call for power to shift to the northern region. And the reason they gave, was one, because it's equitable, it's justice. It is just for power to shift, and that it will be wrong if power remained in the south after the person that was in actual power at that time exit from position of power. So at that time, was when they were advocating for that power shift, was it unconstitutional? And what do we mean by that the issue of power shift is not in the Constitution? We know that the Constitution of 1999 has this particular peculiar provision that talked about the reflection of federal character, And the reason for federal character principle, which has been enshrined, is because of the fact that Nigeria is a heterogeneous country with a multi ethnicity of tribes and tongues.
Okay.
And it would be wrong for one particular ethnic group to dominate a country for as many years as possible, because it will create problem. And so for our forefathers, the writers of the Constitution came together, and then I think Section 14, subsection 3, I think there was a provision as to reflection of federal character in order to ensure that there is equal balancing and sensitiveness, in the appointment and the distribution of public office, to ensure that nobody complains of not being included, because that, again, is very key. And so if we have, over time, use federal character in order to assuage some hard feelings, that may occur if some certain persons are not taken into cognizance in appointment. So what are they talking about? Issue of federal character. Remember that, let's look at even politically. President Obasanjo in 1999 was made a president, by the country, was elected president, but there was a consensus that power should shift to south and to southwest because of what happened to Abiola, how Abiola was killed, who came out from the Yoruba zone to contest for the presidency of the country, and they felt that it is clearly unjust because the Yorubas fought, and many of the progressives fought, that there is no way Abiola could just be killed because he came to contest for political position, which is entitled to in the first place, and he is a Yoruba, and you just wasted his life and wasted that of his family and all that. Then something has to be done. It was an IPP that came all the way from Mina, and they came to Southwest and extended hand of fellowship that Southwest should be given the opportunity. And that's why in 1999, the two major political parties then in power produced two presidential candidates from the Yoruba axis, because that was just, that was equitable, that was being sensitive, that was being careful about the unity of this country. And it worked. Obasanjo was elected. Obasanjo was there for 8 solid years. And Obasanjo felt that after 8 years, power having been in the south, she go to north.
Barrister, you have been talking about consensus now, but the northern governors are talking about the constitution. They are saying it is not in the constitution that presidency should be zoned. So constitution and consensus, I think, is two different things that Nigerians should look at, and I think as a learned person, we should have explanation on what the constitution is saying on zoning, or what the consensus is really saying on zoning.
If you want me to point out to one section where the issue of zoning of the presidency is, I have explained to you that there is no particular provision where the issue of zoning of the presidency is. I've told you of a particular provision in the Constitution that says there must be a reflection of federal character. And I've said that, and I'm saying, if you're insisting on word by word, anyone who tells you today that insisting on a particular specific provision in the Constitution before power can be probably given to those who have not had it for a long time, it's been very mischievous. It's also been very, very satanic, because if we could argue when it was our own turn, I'm talking about the Northerners, argue that it was their turn for power to shift in 2016 when they put up that particular resolution, and then now in 2021 you are now saying it's no longer constitutional. So was it constitutional at the time you were shifting? You were arguing for it, and power actually shifted. So what makes it now unconstitutional? Because it is now the other people's turn. Then it became you now begin to look for specific provision in the Constitution, whereas you have argued for it before. As at the time you argued for it, was it not a constitutional thing? Were you not aware that it was not in the Constitution? Was it not issue of equity? Was it not issue of justice? Was it not issue of the safety of the country? Was it not issue of unity of the country? Were you not considering Nigeria as a country that should not be trampled upon or tampered with, since you really want this country to continue in existence? So why is it now that you're not talking about a specific provision in the Constitution, whereas you have argued for it before? That is hypocritical. That's hypocrisy.
Barrister Ovani, a school of thought, there are insinuations, let me put it. What's your feeling about this? That this step was taken so that they can come to the negotiation table and
they forget about
your issue, your plan on that. Relax it, then power shifts
to the south.
What do you think?
I may not be in their mind to know what they are, what actually, these are two different issues. I remember we operated a proper federal system of governance from 63 to 66. Most of the achievements of Africa or our continent, started from the Western region when Obafemi Awolowo was the premier of that region. The first television, the first radio, the first stadium, and all that. There was competition. There was a proper application of the federal principle. It was down up and not top down, which is actually what we're practicing now. People were controlling their resources and paying certain percentage to the federal. So I see no reason why we now truncated it through the military, and under civilian regime we are still retaining the centralization of governance, which has actually retarded our growth. So if they're arguing about VAT, what is the provision of the law on VAT? What did the law say? Did the law give exclusivity of VAT to the federal government or to the state government? And why is it that we should not allow a situation where the states will engage in stiff competition in order to develop at their own pace? This issue of taking so much out of the system from the various federating units, and then everyone gathers in Abuja at the end of the month, cap in hand, for them to be given, like a gift as a dash. And he has not actually, engineered the kind of reformation we want in the country. He has not helped us economically. He has not helped us politically. Why don't we allow proper application of federalism, where everyone controls whatever comes out of his own, and then we pay certain percentage to manage our federal bureaucracy and ensure that there is development all across the country, because there is no state today, as I speak to you, that do not have one thing or the other in large quantity that will actually make them to have internally generated revenue to run their. But because of this laziness that the system itself has created, everyone is waiting what will the federal will get from the various federating units, and they go and share. At the end of the month, they're waiting again. So they're not thinking, they're not putting on their thinking cap in order to generate economic activities that will actually make them to be self-sufficient. So I think it in the overall, in the long run, it will be in the benefit, to the benefit of all the various states.
Okay,
if what is being pursued now, the issue of fiscal federalism is allowed to take its firm position. I am saying, if they want us to sit down to talk, let them not use the issue of power shift, to begin to negotiate on VAT, because the VAT issue is something that will be highly beneficial to all the federating units. That's what I think. And the issue of power shift also to the south is for the unity of this country and also for the health of this country. The way things are, that people are openly now agitating for secession, it's not something we should all be silent about, because I don't know what Nigeria will be if in 2023, the way things are happening and the way everyone is sticking to his own gun, everyone stick to his gun, the south and the north. There won't be Nigeria for us to exist, though. There won't be Nigeria for us to live. So our position needs to be a bit more sensitive in some of the utterances and for what they do.
Okay, Barrister, as we leave this segment of the discussion segment on New Dawn, where do you think this consensus, constitutional, and everything that the governors in totality now, everybody now under the Nigerian Governors Forum, what do you think this agitation, this will lead us to? Where will it lead us to? And do you think it will have consequences?
There are consequences, and that's why we are still saying that Nigeria has never sat down to agree to live together, and that takes us back again to that question: do we really want to be together? And if we want to be together, what are the basic terms and conditions under which we must coexist as a country? That question has not been answered. They just joined us together in 1914, and up to now, that question has not been answered, whether we really want to be together. And if we really want to be together for the sake of the country, there are certain concessions we need to make, and they have them written down, and we begin to apply them. For now, if everyone sticks to his gun, the way things are going, there may not be a country for all of us, and that's my fear. And that's my fear. And my problem is that these big men that are causing this problem, they all have their houses abroad, and they will all jet out, and leave the country to burn. But God will not allow them. So I think that at this juncture, we should warn that the political elites must come together to reach a consensus on how this country should survive. They should be thinking about survival of the nation and not about self-interest or regional interest, because it will not occur well if we fail as a people to get it right in terms of governance. Because governance issue is a very fundamental issue. We have not been able to govern this country well. The countries we started with, they have all gone far. The UAE, Singapore, all these Asian tigers, if you see where these countries have gone, because they are the kind of leadership that is transformative, that came with idea, generational, and they are thinking about future, and that's why they have made so much progress. But in our own case, we have not moved anywhere. And then we are also, grumbling, having issue of proper governance in the first place, having issue of proper leadership, and that has not been ironed out. So we need to really think about Nigeria and come together and reach a consensus on how to move this country forward. That's my advice. Else, there won't be any country for these guys, to feast upon, and it will be dangerous for all of us if we cannot have a country that all of us will begin to call Nigeria and all that. But if they fail to do it, the Yorubas are clamoring for their own republic, the Igbos are clamoring for their republic. Maybe all of us will go our separate ways. Maybe it will be better that way. It happened in Russia, and they are surviving. Maybe.
Thank you very much, Barrister Monday Ubani, the chairman of NBA's section on public interest and development law. Speeder, I want to thank you very much for being part of the program this morning. We actually enjoyed your views on this topic that is looking at Northern Governors Forum, focus on resolutions, power shifts, VAT. Thank you very much, Barrister Ubani.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, we'll take this break. We'll be back.